best recruiters aren't selling, they're building relationships. Today, I'm going to share with you how to nurture relationships for effortless recruiting.
Revenue share opportunity isn't just for top producers and influencers. It should be available to every agent. It's not about yachts and fancy cars. It's about that single parent that can finally afford braces for their kid. This is the Agent Attraction Lab. Because opportunity shouldn't be reserved for a select few.
Hey there, welcome back to the Agent Attraction Lab. This is Brandon DeVere. Thank you, as always, for tuning in and sharing your time with me. I do appreciate you joining me here in the lab for some collaboration and some contribution and some connection as well. So today we're going to kind of get into the best way for you to actually approach people about when you're recruiting, when you're attracting, and all these things. It's not just like the hard sell. It's not just saying, hey, we have everything, we have all this stuff. This is why you should be a part of what we're doing. It is nurturing relationships. It's existing relationships. It's relationships that you're building and keeping it more relational and more focused on the relationship than like a gotta have. Like this conversation needs to turn into this. And I'll give you an idea. And I've mentioned it before, but when I was at EXP, this is not on EXP at all, 100% me. But the challenge is when we get into these companies, there is no real training for these things. Like most people that are in agent attraction probably learned it somewhere else, attracting into something else, or kind of picked it up along the way and kind of learned different strategies and things like that. And when I was at EXP, every conversation I had to put so much pressure on myself. Again, not EXP's fault, my fault. I put so much pressure on myself to make every conversation turn into like getting somebody to join. It tired me out and it made people sick of talking to me. One friend I kind of not necessarily lost a friendship over it, but we just don't talk quite as much as we used to. And because I was so basically just vomit all over him. But what we want to do is the way to start building relationships or nurturing and building existing relationships you already have is start to give before you ask. Like if you, Gary Vee's book, I've talked about it multiple times in other podcasts and all kinds of things, videos. He has a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And a lot of us are going for the right hook, like haymaker, haymaker, haymaker. Like when you're boxing, I'm not a professional boxer, I've been trained as a boxer, but when you're boxing, you're doing a lot of setup. You're doing a lot of, okay, who's looking, you're doing this. And if you go out there and start throwing right hooks, like a street fight, to a trained boxer, you're just going to get smoked. So if you are out there just throwing right hooks, people are just going to deflect them, and they aren't going to want to deal with you anymore. Just kind of you're going to tire yourself out. So jab, jab, jab. You're just giving little things. Hey, here's some value. Here's some value. Here's this. Oh, you have a question on this property. You're not with my brokerage yet. Or you have a question on this transaction. Yeah, let me help you out. I'll help you out with that. Not necessarily like, hey, what are you gonna give me in return? What are you gonna give me in return? Ask. This happens with with clients all over, like leads that are for home purchases and listings and things like that. Agents are coming out and just give me instead of being like, hey, here's something that might help you. I have a good friend, Jeff Marchant, up in Salt Lake area, and he said he's talked more sellers out of listing their home than he can count, right? And he went in there strictly with value. Like most people be like, oh, that's so counterintuitive, that's dumb, he just talked them out of a listing. But what he did was he talks them out of the listing because he has a value for them. And he says, hey, have you thought about renting this? Would this be more beneficial for you in the long-term wealth game instead of just the transactional, gonna get this commission game? And you know what happens automatically? What people want to do is you took care of them, naturally they're gonna want to take care of you. So what happens? He goes and he gets referrals, more referrals, or even they still get a transaction out of it, but now he's helping them with 2 properties, and they're referring him out because he had their best value. He didn't go in there just going for haymakers. The other thing you can do is be a connector. Be a connector with people. Like if you don't have the answer, you don't have, like one of the things that I did years ago, my very first podcast was the Summerlin Advice Givers podcast. I took a course and was in this coaching group that did that. And the idea was you're going to go out and you're going to be a connector. And I went and connected with like a chiropractor, and I interviewed the chiropractor. And then now the chiropractor, if somebody needs a chiropractor, now I got to go, hey, you should check out, Dr. Kwan. She's awesome. She's amazing. She's really good at this. And then you just connect people without the intent or intentions that you're going to get something out of it. One of my great friends, Mark Madsen, what he tells me all the time is he connects me with people like crazy. We're very similar in that way. But every time he's just like, hey man, I want to get somebody, I want to make the connections, and then hopefully someday we play in the same sandbox. And he's like that. I learned that play in the same sandbox from him. And I love that mentality because it's connecting people to what they need instead of what you want to give them. And as an agent attractor or recruiter, that's really going to help you way more than trying to just make them want what you have instead of finding out what they need. Kind of go off. I've mentioned this before, but I talk about that. Like, I don't like when we refer to ourselves as doctors, but I'm going to use the doctor analogy in this case. We tend to do is prescribe before diagnosis. And this is where I kind of go, like, we come in and we tell agents that we have all this stuff. We have this, and this. And the agent's like, okay, cool, but I don't need any of that. I want this. And we don't necessarily listen, where that's what we have to be doing, is listening to people. What do you need? And do I have this over here that can help your needs? So as you're listening to them, you got to find out, okay, do we have what works for them? Sometimes you're not going to. And what you should probably do, if you can't help them, tell them that you can't, or even help them find something. I've referred people to other brokerages that are not what my brokerage didn't have. And I just refer them elsewhere because they wouldn't be, if you recruit them today and tell them something that they're not going to get, and then they're not getting it, and they're going to want to leave, and then you have to try and re-recruit them, and that's going to take away from trying to recruit and attract new agents if you're re-recruiting the same person, and that doesn't scale. So essentially, with the doctor analogy, is that you come in, the doctor, you walk in, imagine the doctor doesn't say anything to you. You just walk in and they say, hey, here's the 3 pills. This one's the best for like anxiety, this one is the best blood pressure, and this one is the best for diabetes. Here you go. They're the top of the line, best ever. And you go, okay, that's cool, but I just stubbed my toe and I just want to make sure that it's not broken. Like, all those things are great, but I need none of them. And when you can start doing that, then you go, oh, okay, well, you came in, well, what happened? Well, I stubbed my toe, just want to make sure it's not broken. Okay, perfect. Here's an Advil or something, and let's go x-ray it and make sure it's not broken. Now you know what they need. You're not just giving them stuff. So I highly recommend, when you're talking to agents and you want to know what it is that if you're going to help them, you need to know what they need help with. It's not just a waterfall of, we have all this stuff, because that will work for a little while until they realize that they don't use most of that stuff. And you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I don't use all this stuff you told me I was going to get. I don't use any of it. And also, it didn't fix the problem that I originally had, why I was going to come over here. So that's why you definitely want to pay attention. Also, keep in touch. Now, keep in touch doesn't mean like, hey, just wondering if you're still thinking about joining. Wonder if every conversation being about that. Send them, listen to a podcast. Have them, when it reminds you of somebody, take a snippet, take it from YouTube, take it wherever, and send them, hey, you know what? I was thinking this podcast reminded me of you. I thought you might enjoy this. Or a book. Hey, I saw this book, or a movie, whatever it is. Don't always just send them stuff. Like, I send Gary Vee stuff to people all the time. Whether or not they want it, I don't know. But the idea is that, once you get in the mindset, you do that a few times, you just naturally want to be like, oh, you know what? We had this conversation. They're at a different brokerage. It's not necessarily with the intent that they're going to join you. It's, hey, I have this. We've created that relationship. It's starting to be nurtured. And then now, oh, well, hey, you said that you like this person. What about this? What about that? Right. And it's not necessarily just giving them, hey, here's tickets to something or something like that. But if you have something, maybe it is. Maybe there's a coffee shop that you found and they like it. Just share with them as normal relationships or normal relationship building would go, without the intent that you're just, whatever move you're going to make is you're going to every conversation is going to be about your company or their company or real estate, even real estate in general. So, and that's what I would do. I would engage with them authentically as well. Follow them on social media and like and comment on their stuff too. Like, people love that. Like, even like, here's kind of a trick. What you can do is, especially if there's people that you don't know, this is kind of a little different path before you start creating that relationship. When you first start meeting people and start seeing what people are doing, you go comment on something that they posted on social media. Most often than not, because I guarantee you've probably done it. You clicked on, somebody commented on your stuff, you didn't know who it was. You're like, well, who's this? And you went and clicked on it, and you went and searched them up, and you're like, oh, this is who this is who that is. So that's how people are going to start following you and figuring out what you're doing, is because you're giving, you're giving attention to what they're doing, their content that they're creating. So I would definitely focus on that. Focus on keeping the relationship strong, and you can see how powerful that those will be. So on the next one, I'm gonna talk about where to find the best agents to recruit. And honestly, I kind of like leaked into it a little bit right there. But that's what we'll have on the next one, and we'll see you on the next episode. All right, have a great one.